Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World for the Breakdown Extra. This one entitled Omar Risa, The Story So Far. So we're going to have a look at Omar Risa's Cardiff City reign and the reign as Cardiff City manager so far and discuss some of the good bits, the bad bits. It's a conversation starter, mate, as is all of these Breakdown Extra shows. Short, sharp, little chat. um, Decided to go pre-recorded for this Thursday evening for a variety of reasons, but one of them being it's been a crazy few days and I need a night off. But also, if you didn't see earlier, we announced that from Wednesday we will be doing a 2 hour slot on Cymru Sport Radio. 7 till 8 will be Cardiff City World, which will be a Cardiff City phone in, super full on interactive show where you can get in contact in live chat, phone, whatever it may be. And then 8 till 9 will be all things Welsh football. So the EFL clubs, the Welsh Premier League, uh, the Welsh national team, grassroots, whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's Welsh football, we will discuss it. There will be guests, there will be a bit of a panel, and you guys will be getting involved. Please do. As well as that, I've just finished recording the first retro watch along, which is the South Wales Derby 2011 with Mr. Paul Abandonato. It was very, very fun, I got to say. That is going to be out for members in the morning. And please do check it out. And if you're not a member, you become a member and you get a lot of exclusive content. You also get 24 hours early access to the live events, one of which should be announced, I think early this week. I think early next week, sorry. But Omar Risa. Omar Risa was appointed interim Cardiff City manager on the 22nd of September 2024, following Errol Bullett's sacking after a very poor start. When Omar Risa took over, Cardiff City had 1 point. I think they'd only scored one goal. It was painful. It was a bad, bad start to the season, hence why we were sacking the manager by the end of September. It was poor. In Omar Risa's reign, including his interim run, and then when he got made a sort of permanent manager, if you like, till the summer, he's played 23 games, won 7, drew 9, lost 7, win percentage of 30.4, which is actually pretty good, you know. But let's sort of have a look at it, okay? I think it's important to look at both sides of it, and I think it's important to recognize what's been good and what's been bad. Omar Risa began his reign with a 4-1 loss against Hull City. Now, in that game, I said at the time that I felt straight away you could see some differences to the way he was set up. It was much more aggressive in the press. It just hadn't quite come together. He'd only had 5 days to 6 days to really work with the players. So, and I think at that point, Darren Pearce wasn't even working with him. So it was pretty much him and Tom Ramassol and maybe some of the academy coaches. Not long after this, they brought in Darren Pearce as well from the 21s. And then they got our first win of the season not long after that against Millwall with a very encouraging performance. With a 1-0 victory and with, I think it was a Perry NG goal. But I think what was the earliest encouraging performance in some ways, but also maybe set off a couple of alarm bells, was the Bristol City game. So the Bristol City game, it's 1-0 to Bristol. Sorry, it's 0-0 at halftime. Ollie Tanner scores 10 minutes into the second half, and Cardiff are absolutely on fire in the coming out of the second half, all over Bristol. Several clear-cut chances. Tanner had another one, I think, from memory. Ruben Colwell has a clear-cut chance. We should have been at least 3 up. And then all of a sudden, I think, and I'm going off memory a little bit. I am going to try and bring it up, but going off memory, all of a sudden, with about half an hour to go, I want to say, 66 minutes, we brought on Jesper Darland and Callum O'Dowda and went defensive. We then also brought on Rinamoto and Kanga about 10 minutes later, but we went to 5 at the back. 5 at the back, Kanga up front, and Bristol, we just invited pressure, and Bristol got one back, I think just before Kanga came on, actually. But that was, it was almost, that second half was like a tale of two halves in itself, because the first part of that second half was super encouraging, and you were like, wow, see, this is what we thought this squad was going to do. This is what we thought they were capable of. Free-flowing football, high-pressing football. This is it. And then as soon as we got one, and we didn't take a couple of chances, he reverted to 5 at the back, and we just invited Bristol back into the game. At that point, when we would switch to 5 at the back, the Bristol fans were booing their team. And in my opinion, when you have opposition fans in their own ground booing them, what you do is you turn the screw. You don't let your foot off their neck. And that was the first mistake I saw from him. 3 games in, his first permanent manager's job. And I said all along, he's learning on the job. You've got to give him time. You have to allow him to make mistakes, but equally, he's got to learn from those mistakes. So it was interesting, that was, because that football in that first bit of the second half in Bristol was so exciting, encouraging. And that was a little window into what was coming, because the very next game at home, Cardiff City absolutely dispatched Wayne Rooney's Plymouth. 5-0. It was 2-0 halftime, another 3 goals in the second half. It was 90 minutes of excellent football, excellent pressing, chance creation, albeit against a poor Plymouth side who had a player sent off, just when they were already 2-0 down. It's all context, isn't it? But like, what I'm saying to you is it was very, very good. So it was encouraging. Risa he had arrived as a manager, going into that, then I think comfortably beat Portsmouth 2-0. A couple of goals in the first 15 minutes. And things were going well there. But this is another point where I think he made a mistake. And I have talked about it before, but we're trying to look at all aspects of it. So, the Portsmouth game, the Plymouth game, the second half against Bristol, excellent pressing, high pressing football, good football, movement off the ball, which we hadn't had for so long. Bit of a higher line, all these little tweaks that he'd made since taking over from Errol Bullitt. But we played Plymouth on the 19th of October. Then 3 days later, we played Portsmouth. And then 4 days later, we played West Brom. 3 games in a week. He kept the same 11. That West Brom game, we were very, very, very flat. He made minimal changes. We were very flat and very lethargic. The press wasn't there. We were very easy to play against in that West Brom game. But I think we had 1 or 2 chances, but ultimately we were very easy to play with. The players looked leggy. So, yes, probably should have rotated it a little bit, freshen it up. But this was at a point where he had put Alex Robertson and David Turnbull into the midfield. And look, Errol Bullitt is a supremely experienced football manager. He flat out refused to play David Turnbull in the number 8 position or in the double pivot, other than one game away at Birmingham for like 5-10 minutes. So Omar Risa deserves credit for going, no, Turnbull is a deep lying midfielder. Him and Robertson will be a real good partnership with Ruben just in front, and that worked. And I guess we'll get to it, but of course there's games where maybe that doesn't work and you need to be a bit more defensively sound. But that West Brom game should have been a lesson for him. And as we say, you've got to allow him to make mistakes, but he should have rotated one or two just to freshen it up, in my opinion, of course. However, the very next game, he did rotate it, and he played with well, he played with three at the back, by the looks of it. No, I tell a lie, he didn't go three at the back then. He played with a false nine, and you had four, O'Dowda, Chambers, Gutas, Rinamoto, with Turnbull and Siopis as the two midfielders. You had El Ghazi as a left wing, Tanner as a right wing, and then Willock and Colwell played as false nines, interchanging, dropping in. Very clever system. Norwich took the lead after about 52 minutes, and then Cardiff City scored two late goals to win 2-1. Excellent. Good. And this, around this time, but also slightly earlier, the Plymouth game as well. Bristol game was at some points before we went too early. I think he showed that he was very tactically versatile, very tactically adaptable. You know, from switching to 5 at the back to switching to 3 at the back to false nines, 4-3-3s. The pressing shape became a 4-4-2. It's been very encouraging. So I think he has shown that he is tactically adaptable to play. Following the Norwich game, we went to play Luton away from home. We lost 1-0. It was a real poor performance. Again, missed chances, but very flat again. We then go on and play Blackburn and get spanked against a team who were really struggling at the time. And this is where it kind of turned a bit bad. Like, it was not good in this little period. So you had Luton game, you had the Blackburn game, you had the Sheffield Wednesday game, then you had the QPR game where we were awful. Then we played Coventry on the 30th of November, and Matty scored after 4 minutes. Robertson scored just after halftime, I believe. After Coventry had scored, got one back from the Matty goal pretty much straight after. And then Torp gets a penalty right at the end to equalise it. What we did show against Coventry there was the first real signs of genuine togetherness in the squad. And, you know, some people had questioned, myself included, whether he was trying to be too pally with the group and whether he needed to be a bit more stern. Is that what this group needs? Do they need to be, you know, this is the same group of players, which some of them down tools against and Errol Bullock. So did they need to have a manager who's all pally, or did they need someone who's a bit sterner? But in fairness to him, he stuck with that, getting the players together. They were very together against Coventry. They were very together against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough, an excellent side. So a draw away there was good. Sheffield United, always going to be a very tough game. And Cardiff City went and won at Sheffield United with a Keane Ashford goal in the FA Cup. Apologies, I've skipped a load of games. So let's rewind. Go back to the Coventry 2-2. I've had a long couple of days. I apologize. Right, we're back on it. So you had Coventry 2-2, and then we went and played Preston, and wow, were we bad. We were awfully bad. Awfully bad. And this was probably the point where I think people were getting a bit fed up with the form of Harry NG, the form of Matey, and he was kind of still picking them. The form of the team generally hadn't been great, but that Coventry performance where they drew 2-2 was really encouraging. But unfortunately, the games either side of that, Preston and QPR, were not great. But again, I think he showed that he was tactically quite switched on. We then went on. We drew coming into Christmas, 14th of December, and this run was quite poor already. We drew with Stoke 2-2. El Ghazi scored his first goal, and and an own goal. And another late goal conceded cost us the 3 points, which is a bit of a theme. We played Sheffield United at home. Two superb finishes from Kiefer Moore. We did all right in that game, but just not good. Like, we were in a bad run. And then, of course, Boxing Day against Oxford, we all remember. It's 3-2, but we were 3-0 down. We were absolutely dreadful. And really, it was just two late goals from Keane Ashford and Callum Robinson, which made the score more respectable. And then that was the end of the bad run. So we had a good run under him, a bad run, and then we're in the midst of a decent run. So then on the 29th of December, Cardiff hosted Watford. Travelled to Watford, and Chakvatse gave them the lead. And Cardiff were real good in that game. Chakvatse equalised after Callum Robinson had scored in the first minute. And this was an interesting one because we had Keane Ashford, and this was when Keane was really starting to come into form following that Oxford game, and he's carried on that form, in fairness to him. But we started with a front three of Robinson, Ashford, and Willock with Rinamoto. This was when we would switch to the 3-5 or 3-4-2-1, which is a system which I still believe can be effective under this manager and this team for certain games, certain situations, where you had Darlin, Gutas, Chambers as the three, O'Dowda as left, Rinamoto as right, Siopis, Robertson, Ashford. Decent side. Very, very good result to go away to Watford and win. I know we've got good record there, but it was very good. So New Year's Day comes, and we are home to Coventry City. We're playing them off the park. We've got an early goal through Alex Robertson. Should have been 2 or 3 up. Absolutely playing some lovely stuff. Real nice lineup. This was the first time that he switched to 4-2-3-1, back to 4-2-3-1. And it's the first time Callum Chambers moved up into midfield, which was a masterstroke. Again, tactically adaptable, making brave decisions. Robertson moved up into the 10. And like I said, we were electric. Robertson scores an early goal. We play some good stuff, high pressing, create chances. We should have been more than 1 up. And then right around half time, I think it was like a crazy 60 seconds. The second half kicks off. Coventry score almost immediately from the kickoff. And then within 30 seconds of that goal hitting the back of the net, Callum Robinson ridiculously gets sent off. But that togetherness that I pointed out just coming into the Christmas, just before Christmas, the Coventry game where we first saw that togetherness that the manager had brought, that gets us through against Coventry again. And we play the second half with 10 men and we get a point. We then play Middlesbrough at Middlesbrough. Callum Chambers scores a worldie after going 1-0 down. And we get a draw, which is a sensational result against a good Middlesbrough side. Sheffield United in the FA Cup plays a very young side. Keane Ashford, Atete, Colwell, Tanner, NG and Rawls in midfield. NG was not good in midfield, but he swapped it at half time. Bagan, excellent all season, Joe Bagan. Will Fish and Darlin showed us what their centre-back pairing for the future may be. K. Pacquiao was good before he got it injured. Ethan Halverth had a good game. So what you've got to understand is he was brave. Played the squad players, played the youngsters, and beat a Sheffield United team who were very poor on the night, but they're still a decent team with decent players, with decent youngsters, and stayed in the FA Cup. Next up was Watford. Keane Ashford scores again. But another late goal. And this is something that Omar Risa must address, is the conceding of late goals. Because when you look at it, just off the top of my head now, going through those results, there's 3, maybe 4 games where late goals have cost us 3 points. That has to change. But a draw against Watford is not the end of the world. And then Last Saturday, Swansea City come to town for the South Wales derby. Omar Risa, he sticks with what he knows. He sticks with his lineup. Chambers in midfield. Rawls is in there instead of Siopis. A lot of people, including myself, said this game's made for Siopis. He's got to play. He's got to reunite Siopis and Chambers. He makes the big call. He brings the skipper in. Then you have, does he bring Perry NG back in on the right-hand side? No, he sticks with Rena Mota. Does he bring Ruben Colwell in because he, a homegrown boy, he understands the fixture, etc.? No, he sticks with Robertson at the 10. Cardiff City, from around the 20-minute mark, completely obliterated Swansea. They played them off the park from about 20 minutes all the way through. Yes, Swansea were poor, but Cardiff were excellent. From the moment they started to press high, Omar Risa's Cardiff City were absolutely outstanding. Callum Robertson bags a couple. Gutas gets one. Robertson with a couple of assists. It was sensational. It was enjoyable. It was beautiful to see. Definitely the best performance of the season. Definitely the best performance under Omar Risa. So what do you expect when the team travels to Millwall just 2 days later? You're thinking the team are buzzing. They're going to go and do and build on this now. He makes changes, understandably so. There was several injuries, only one real rotation, which was Kean Ashford. All the rest were enforced. But it is a very changed team. Half the team is different. Some players who are nowhere near fully fit and certainly not match sharp. And Cardiff started dreadfully. Early goal after 2 minutes, another goal after 20 minutes. But that togetherness that Omar Risa has been breeding from the first day in at the job, getting his arm around these players, and his tactical awareness. Cardiff, 2-0 down. Poor. Too long ball, too direct. Just before half time, the ball falls to Chris Willock on the edge of the box, and he pops it in the top corner. Great goal. He'd been poor up to that point. He comes out in the second half with a bit between his teeth. He looks like he's ready to try and do something and take this team on. Things just don't fall. Cardiff don't take their chances. It remains 2-1 going into the 97th minute. But at 70 minutes, Cardiff City's new Danish striker, Yusuf Salic, comes in. Cardiff put a couple of crosses in. He has a header. One is saved by the keeper. Remarkable. Well, not remarkable save, but a good save. Good header, though, because he was under a lot of pressure. Then, with 2 minutes to go, the ball comes across from El Ghazi, who was excellent, by the way. Looked motivated. Another thing which Omar Risa probably deserves a bit of credit for because he didn't look like that before his little break. The ball comes across from El Ghazi. Salic has got a free header. All he's got to do is just nod it into the net and become a hero. And he sends it way wide. Like, poor header. Mistimed it. Does he let it bother him? The young striker just come in. Nope. Gets his head down, works hard, goes get a ball after his missed opportunity. He's working hard. He's encouraging his teammates. And then in the very last kick of the game, the ball drops from Perry NG's determination. And Yusuf Salic scores to give Cardiff City a point. 2-2. And that takes us to today. So where do we stand with Omar Risa? Have we found a gem who needs to be polished and given time, given a contract over the long term to improve what is already? He has shown already that he's tactically knowledgeable, tactically adaptable. He likes to play a certain way. He likes to play with a high press. He's flexible. He's created an environment where the team is together. Do we build on that? Or do we shake him by the hand in the summer and we say, thank you so much for keeping us up. Thank you for, doing a real good job with considering your experience level. But we've decided to go in another direction with a more experienced manager. I guess that's the question. I'm not sure where I stand on it, because so much of what Omar Risa does, I really, really like. But he's not beyond criticism, as was Errol Bullitt before him. No one is beyond criticism. And I think it's really interesting how the rest of this season goes. I'll be fascinated to see how we line up against Derby on Saturday. I would like to see us be, I've already said this, I would like us to be really aggressive. I'd like to see Tanner at left back if he's fit, with Willock or El Ghazi on the left wing. I'd like to see Chambers, Robertson, Colwell as a 3 in midfield, with Robinson in front, Ashford on the right, Rinamoto on the right. Although I wouldn't be against giving Perry Ng a start on Saturday against Derby. I thought he looked a little bit better against Millwall, and I also thought Rinamoto looked a little bit tired. Didn't have his best game. But these players haven't let us down, so you don't need to force changes. It'll be interesting what he goes with. But Cardiff must be aggressive from the start. They must start fast. They must really push on and put Derby to the sword, because I firmly believe if Cardiff City get an early goal and get the fans up against Derby County on Saturday, it will be rocking and Derby will crumble. Guess we'll see. However, let me know in the comments what you think about Omar Risa's reign so far. Is it good, bad, somewhere in the middle? Would you give him a longer contract? Would you not decide till the summer? Would you replace him now? I'm interested. All views are welcome. Guys, as always, it's been a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you so much. We'll be back with a preview tomorrow night for the Derby game. And if you're a member, check out the Retro Watch Along with Paul Abandonato for the South Wales Derby 2011. And if you're not a member, please do join. Helps us make sure that we produce content 7 days a week. Appreciate you all. Take care. Keep the faith, my friends.